In this video, I'm going to demonstrate how RiskIQ's discovery works inside of Digital Footprint. I've logged into Digital Footprint already, and I can see here that I'm in my workspace. And to the left-hand side, I've actually went into the menus and selected Discovery. So clicking into Discovery, I'm presented with this view, and I've actually ran 2 discoveries already in building out this RiskIQ workspace. Essentially what discoveries are sources that allow us to start with a piece of information and then use all of the information and the way it's connected to each other, the algorithms that RiskIQ has, in order to essentially identify candidate assets that are related or part of that digital footprint. So if I wanted to go and add a new source of information, I could manually add a set of host or IPs, or I could search through assets through a number of different algorithms that are available. For the most part, we want to make use of the Discovery Lite algorithm. So I'm going to select that, and now I'm asked to provide a domain. I've already done riskiq.com and passivetotal.org, so I'm actually going to do riskiq.net. So I'm going to type that in, and then I'm going to give a piece of note or feedback as to why I'm choosing this domain. So now that I've done that, I can essentially click Run. And what's happened here is my Discovery Lite process is essentially kicking off. So we can see here that I get a status that's telling me that this is running. It's currently pending. I get a run number with the creator and my notes. And right now we just have 1 domain, but very quickly we should start to see information populated. Here we go. So we have 17 ASNs, 8 contacts, 89 domains, 1,831 hosts, 159 IP blocks, 15 mail servers, and 46 name servers. And you can see here that this is actually going through, and this changed slightly as I was reading it. And so what's happening here in the background is we've taken riskiq.net, and then we've used all of the information that we have to essentially build out these counts. And what we're viewing here inside of the web interface is essentially related assets that are believed to be related to RiskIQ. And at the top, we have a name that describes the asset, whether or not it's new, the type, the owned asset, and this is particularly interesting because this is giving us a probability assessment of how likely the asset is to be owned based on this keystone asset. So if I own riskiq.net, there's a low probability that RiskIQ thinks that I own this particular AS, autonomous system network, or that it's unlikely that I own this net block. Now, I may leverage that net block, but it doesn't necessarily mean that I own it. And then after the owned asset, we have a connectedness number, connectedness value as well. This sort of gives us an indication. Again, like I was saying, Discovery is built on this concept of leveraging algorithms and all the data that RiskIQ's collected. And owned asset is informed by a number of different things that the algorithm thought of how likely it was that I own this particular detail or this asset. The connectedness factor is, if you think about all the data that RiskIQ has in sort of a graph, the connectedness is the other nodes or assets that are also connected to this asset that appear to be related. So connectedness in a way is kind of a means of evaluating how connected an asset is, and in other words, informing how likely it is that the asset is going to be owned by us. And as you can see here, that just because we have a high connected count does not necessarily correlate to the fact that it might be an owned asset. And I think these 2 examples are great, the net block and the autonomous system network, because the reality is we don't actually own those, but it makes sense that we're connected to them in a number of ways because we do have a number of domains that are available. So we have our ability of sorting this information in a number of ways, or I can actually paginate through the content as well. But effectively what we've done here is we've performed a discovery using the Discovery Lite algorithm. We've correlated all of this infrastructure that appears to be related to our business. And now at this point, I can choose to download this, or I can actually go into my inventory and do some more. Alternatively, if I really wanted to, and I thought that these results were something worthwhile, I could directly import them into inventory by clicking the Confirm button. And so I'm actually going to do this now because I believe a lot of what's shown here with the absolute confidence does appear to be associated with RiskIQ. So I'm going to click on that Confirm, and I'm actually going to say, I'm presented with some options here that allows me to run the discovery process on a more reoccurring basis, and some other options here as well. So first, I want to rerun this discovery every week. And what that's going to do is it's automatically going to run that discovery process using the same keystone asset, the same algorithm as before, except for if there's any new identified assets or data that RiskIQ has collected, it will get surfaced and then proposed to me inside of inventory. The next one that I have here is the ability to auto-confirm new assets. So for me, I trust our algorithms and I trust our ability to assess the confidence associated with these discovery runs. And so I'm going to select this as well because I want to automatically get the benefit of these new assets that may be appearing online automatically getting imported into my inventory. Last but not least, there's nothing in particular that I'm looking to remove or ignore. And that's what's noted here by these roadblock domains. And so I'm just going to keep this blank. So I've now clicked confirm. And essentially what's going to be happening now is all of this information, these a couple thousand assets, are essentially going to be imported directly into my inventory. And just before we leave here, I wanted to go over to some of the other keystones that we did. I had previously ran this passivetotal.org keystone. You could see that I set it to also run on every week and auto-confirm assets. And you could tell just using passivetotal.org, we ended up only with 72 assets compared to riskiq.com and .net, where we ended up with a few thousand assets. And so when we're performing a discovery, we often find that it's best to grab a number of different reference points on behalf of a business, and we use those to effectively inform and make sure that we have the most coverage possible.